And joining us for the news review, we have Andrew Apiadankwa, his spokesperson, Movement for Change, Professor Isaac Bwedi, Dean of Accounting and Finance at the UPSA, and Kwame Nkrumah-Botsio, General Secretary of the CPP. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Nowadays, I remember the last time the shirt was...
I have to catch up with you.
You have to catch up. This one, you've overtaken me. You're in a comfortable lead.
The trophy, you must share.
We must share.
You must share sources.
Honorable Kobash.
Honorable Kobash and Honorable Ben, you must share your source.
Okay, gentlemen. Prof. Bwedi is also looking, lovely as always.
Prof, you learn from the best.
And you decided to go with an azure light blue shade. Come on.
Liverpool supporter.
Come on. Let's not do Liverpool Man U here. Gentlemen, your quick thoughts this morning. I'll start with you, Prof.
Yeah.
Any thoughts for us?
Two things. First of all, to thank your outfit for your support during our national dialogue on tax. Leakages in Ghana. You came in your numbers, you supported us. We are grateful as a faculty and by extension, the University of Professional Studies. The second thing is on the, I want to commend this administration, the NDC administration. Now we don't see these Nigerians on the street anymore. I'm happy that we are not seeing these.
Which stretches do you usually use where you're not seeing them anymore? On my stretch too, I mean, when I use 37 and others, I don't see them. But I want to know which stretch.
Yeah, in fact, most places that have, the various traffic lights that I've noticed, I mean, I don't see them anymore. And it happened, I think, last week or so. Now, if you go through the streets of Accra, you don't see these individuals. It was becoming embarrassing at a point in time. But through our conversations, I'm sure the last 2 weeks ago when I came here, I mentioned that. And I want to thank this administration for taking that bold initiative to flush these individuals out. I have heard other comments from Child Right International.
Indeed, I was about to avert your mind to that.
Stating that they didn't do the right thing by getting these individuals out. In fact, sometimes some of the comments are difficult to understand because they've been here all this while. Didn't they see these individuals struggling in the streets of Accra, harassing passengers, drivers on the streets? What did they say? What did they do? If they have mansions, they have property somewhere they want to accommodate it, yes, you do. But if they don't have anything, sometimes they shouldn't poke their nose into some internal issues in our country. These individuals were worrying everyone on the street. Now that they've been flushed out, you issue a statement that we didn't treat them well. They should come back again. That's not the best approach. There are certain occasions that they've been fighting for individual rights and all that, but sometimes they get it wrong. So we commend this administration for taking that bold initiative. There are some few sellers also on this road. I don't know when we are going to have a solution to the streets, the hawkers.
The central business district, the decongestion is ongoing.
It's ongoing.
But it's still problematic. Some people after 24 hours, they are back.
They are back.
Yeah.
And they fight sometimes, So I'm sure the ministers, those in charge, should be up and doing and get some sanity in our system. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those thoughts. To be fair to Bright Apea and the Child Rights International, I think in the past they've spoken about some of these issues. Per the law, both of you are lawyers. Children should enjoy certain rights, including not being forced into labor at a tender age, going to school and all of that. They are all in our constitution. But then again, the picture comes in, these are not Ghanaians, but how do you take care of? The law also deals with, is it foundlings in your territory and how to treat them and all of that. But we must also not forget that within even the ECOWAS protocols, you can go to another ECOWAS country, but not beyond 6 months. A lot of these people have been here for. And when the Ghana Immigration Service swooped on them, some were saying, we are only here for food and all of that. So it's interesting. Interesting makes for interesting debate. But anyway, let me come to you, Andy.
Yeah, so let me take this opportunity to wish lovely viewers I think what my thoughts is what in my view seems to be an opportunity for us.
So I would encourage you to speak up a little for us.
So what I've been thinking about this morning is my view, what I consider to be an opportunity for us to entrench constitutional democratic principles. I mean the principles of accountability, the principles of separation of powers, the principles of the independence of the judiciary.
Okay, so would have to work slightly on your. So let me just do this. Let me try Kwame Nkrumah Boatio. I'll get back to you in a bit. Okay. Kwame Nkrumah, what are your thoughts for us?
My two quick thoughts about how I'm happy the authorities are listening, and especially listening to subjects that we have discussed here. I believe the current administration watches this station and even this program. Because coincidentally, when Prof mentioned about the children on the streets, I remember a few years ago, I interviewed one little girl. She said she's from Niger, Arab looking. Said she's 10 years old in class 2. And coming here to beg is actually a holiday job. And those with her are not her parents. So it's a whole, some come with their children.
They are just her handlers.
They are handlers. So it's a whole economy. And she's, what impressed me is apparently the Ghanaian currency is a big deal where she comes from in Niger. Yeah. And that's what she uses to pay her school fees. I mean, I was moved with compassion. When she was telling me her story, she started crying. So
in other words, during vacation, she comes here to beg, makes some money, and then takes it back to be able to get to school.
The parents and all that. You see, but it's not the best way to treat these children, and it's not a good way to live, because these people have been on the streets since I was born. I mean, they've been here for all these years, and it's a good call by Prof, and it's a good thing by the current administration to get them off the streets so that we find better ways to help them as our fellow Africans. We can't look at them begging. And lastly, also, I'm happy to see that Her Excellency J. Nana Opoku-Agyeman is back here. Just last week, we called for prayers for her on the program in accordance with 1 Timothy 2:1-4. And to hear her voice on radio this morning, I was just filled with joy. That's what I would say.
And on the issue of the street urchins, the children, mendicants, there's also the issue of criminality, because some of them end up engaging in activities that you wouldn't want to see. So there must be a balance. But in the end, we need our streets to be free. Pedestrian walks must be free for pedestrians to walk. You shouldn't be assaulted. Look, sometimes, there are times where I've been startled. Sometimes, Charlie, why do you shit? You are thinking of something, and then all of a sudden, from the corner of your eye, boom, your heart, hey, what is happening? Before you see that it's someone coming to you. And sometimes they are so aggressive. And then, I mean, it could give someone a heart attack right in mid-traffic. Anyway, Andy.
Yeah, so I hope it's clearer now. So essentially what's on mind is an opportunity that we've all been faced, as in we've been granted as a nation, entrench constitutional democratic principles, principles of accountability, principles of independence of government. Sadly, we seem to be playing politics with it, like we always do. As in, for my view, a process that we ought to take us as an opportunity to entrench these principles, whose focus is to guarantee us the rule of law. We are playing petty politics with same. For me, it's important for all of us to understand that for this.
So what specifically are you talking about?
Through the CJ.
The CJ. Okay, I suspected, but I just wanted to. So you say the CJ thing, we are playing politics.
Yeah, we are playing, sadly, we are playing, as we've reduced this very important matter to a matter of, once again, of NDC versus NDC. And in my view, I think that the onus lies more on government than the opposition. So in my view, a very simple things need to be done to entrench our belief in the system. Now, this means that even though the Constitution is saying that it must be done in camera, for instance, when the decision was made to suspend the CJ, that decision comes after a prima facie case has been made. My view is that they needed to publish a reasoned opinion on why, in their view, a prima facie case had been made. You understand? Because we can't succeed in defeating the idea that is more of a witch hunt than...
Andy, please, let me do this. My apologies. Let me bring in General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Justin Kodria Frimpo. He joins the conversation on the back of, you remember, we all call him Adenta Kumi, Kumi Abebio. He blew the whistle on that purported video of the meeting between the judges and, Thaddeus Sorry. And what has been posted is that he has been picked up by some CID and national security operatives. So that's the video you see in the background. But let me bring in Justin Kodria Frimpo. Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
It's a pleasure having you join the conversation. What can you confirm for us that is happening at the home of Kumi Abebio?
Yes, so just this morning I received a distressful call from Adenta Kumi, as we all call it, that some armed men, normally about 20, have come to his house at Adenta. So I asked him, can he identify them? And he said he was inside the house, but they are outside, and they have been banging on his gate that he should come out. So I told him, hold on, that I'll be there for far from the reached about 20 minutes. So on my way to the house, I received from the wife, been picked up and sent into National Security Office. So I'm in the house. At the fact that the way in which they picked him up is a disgrace to our country.
Justin, I seem to be losing you a little. You said the way and manner in which what?
The way in which he has been picked up is a disgrace to our country. It's a disgrace to rule of law, and it's a shame that this time out, where we are practicing the
Can you please describe the way and manner, since you say it's disgraceful?
Yes, because when I got there, according to the wife, they broke into the house.
Okay.
They have destroyed his doors, and they used the back of the gun that they were holding to hit a woman who lives in the house. And I'm very surprised that those officers who came there can go on that tangent. In any case, what crime has Adenta Kumi committed? This is a person who has seen something which is wrong. And just as a responsible citizen, he petitioned the president. He hasn't gotten any response. And all of a sudden, he has been picked up. What are they trying to achieve? Are they trying to put fear into him? Are they trying to intimidate him? If someone has written an official petition, the best way to do is to invite the person. You don't go into his house uninvited without any warrant. Just go and pick it up. After I speak to you now, we don't even know where he is.
All right.
This is totally kidnapping.
You've said a number of things. You're even suggesting that he's been kidnapped and all of that. You just mentioned a warrant. Do you know for certain whether or not the people who went there had a warrant? Do you know?
Nothing was shown to the house, to the wife.
No, Justin, let's have a legal argument. You are a lawyer, I believe.
Nothing was. Before you can arrest someone, you need to show the warrant.
Right. So they were not shown a warrant.
According to the wife, according to the woman who lives here, they just said they are picking it up and they are taking it to National Security Office. That's what they said. But they failed to produce any warrant.
All right. Let me also ask you about the claim that the door was broken down and that a woman in the house, was hit with the butt of a gun. Is that what you've been told? This is an allegation as of now.
Of course, that's what I've been told by them. I'm still in the house. That's what I've been told.
Okay. Does the house have CCTV cameras?
Definitely no. It doesn't have.
It doesn't have.
And let me give you the number of the car. They were able to pick the number of one of the pickups. Okay. The car registration number WE32311.
WE what?
32311.
WE32311. Okay.
Yes, and they have been able to also pick taking some shots of those who came here. So if you also permit, I can send you all these videos.
Yes, my producer will receive those, and we shall take it from there. But I'm curious about a few more bits.
So as it stands now, we are heading towards the National Security Office to find out whether indeed he has been brought there or not.
Okay.
So once we get there, we'll give you the information.
Okay, since you are suggesting kidnapping, so you want to be sure where he is, and then you take it from there, right?
That's it.
Okay, just a quick bit. Since all of this is premised on that video, have you seen the video in question?
Yes, I've seen it. I believe you have also seen it.
I have. Does that because the narrative is pretty different from what initially was told. We were told Justice Poamang was there, Justice Poamang was not there. We were told that the two justices there, in fact, had just celebrated their birthdays a fortnight before and a week before, and they were just there to engage. It so happened let me just tell you the story we know, and then you can tell me something else if your thinking is different. And then this lawyer, coincidentally, is there, and he sees his seniors who are on the bench. And so he goes, they shake hands, and everybody goes to their respective places to sit. This lasts less than 20 seconds. We were told that there was a conversation, they had met to converse about how to, take out the CJ and all of that. That is what we know. What do you know?
So let me ask you, was the video posted by Adenta Kumi?
Was the video what?
Are you also aware of what is in the petition?
You say was the video what?
Posted by Adenta Kumi.
I do know that he made a post about it.
Yeah, so at the end, they didn't come from him. That's what I want to establish. And two, we don't even know for a fact what is captured in the petition. So then again, in order to get to the bottom of the matter, if someone has submitted a petition, it is important to interrogate the petition. If it is captured in the petition that there's a video and all those things, then the argument that you are bringing forth can also be taken into consideration. But this is a person who has filed the petition. So the best way to analyze the petition is to invite the person. But you don't go to his house forcefully to break into his house and to arrest him.
As for that one, it has nothing to do with, I'm just bringing in this because it's on the back of that this is happening.
But you agree, we don't want to restrict ourselves to a video that has been posted on social media. But at the end of the day, we need to look at the processes. This is a person who has filed a petition. Is that how the NDC want to handle whenever a person brings a petition to the government? That the person will be intimidated, the person's house will be ransacked and picked up?
You make an important point there, but let me also ask you, so do you then agree that per what we know now about that short video, it couldn't have been what has been out there?
I'm not restricting myself to that short video. My discussion has nothing to do with any video. My discussion has to do with the fact that some men illegally went to the house of Adenta Kumi to pick it up. That's the issue we are talking about. As to that video, is a matter for different discussions. But for this morning, what we are referring or talking about is how he has been picked up.
All right. So what next? You say you're going to the CID, National Security. Who are heading there now? Because I just want to have an idea.
And the wife and his brother are moving towards the place. So
I didn't get. I'm sorry, I missed. You say who and the wife?
I said myself, the wife, and the brother.
Okay. All of you are heading there now.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And that, of course, is Justin Kodua Frimpong. He posted this morning, on the back of which we reached out to him to get the details. What he posted was all patriots should rush. All patriots should rush to Adenta Kumi's house. Over 20 CID and national security officers are there to pick him up. That's what the General Secretary of the MPP posted, on the back of which we've had this conversation with him. Gentlemen, Andy, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so it was falls in line with exactly what I was saying. We've managed to turn this thing into, once again, MPP versus what's called NDC. And this opportunity afforded us to entrench our constitutional democratic principles. Is being lost on the altar of partisan politics. We are a country governed by the rule of law, and that's our focus. All of our focus is to entrench the rule of law, because that's the only reason under which the purpose of our constitution can be realized. Without the rule of law, we are doomed. Now, the rule of law, because the focus is to protect the liberties of the people, also has put in place both the substantive law and procedural law under which you can infringe on somebody's liberties. Understand? Sadly, because once I'm saying because we've managed to turn this thing into MPP versus NDC. All manner of crude processes are being used in this battle. I like to term it an unending, very toxic soap opera. Yeah, you understand? Because if Adenta Kumi has made what's called a petition, and he was not the one who leaked the tip. You understand? Let's suppose he even leaked the tip. What kind of message, you understand, are you sending to the people of Ghana with this Rambo-style invasion of his private? It can't be justified.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying, that if our focus...
Even if there were a warrant?
So we don't know...
And indeed, that's what I was trying to establish.
Even if there was... Couldn't they... Was sometimes the optics...
Couldn't he have been invited? Oh, come over, let's have a talk. We've seen this out there. You've posted about it. You've spoken about it. Come, let's have a conversation. Come and prove to us.
Yeah, but this Rambo style, we invade this person's house, we do this. It needs to stop. Because in the system we've taken upon ourselves, perception is everything. Immediately, the people lose confidence in the ability of the system to guarantee them their rights, their inalienable rights. Then the system won't work. And that's why I'm saying that, in my opinion, this whole CJ thing, for me, afforded us the opportunity to entrench the principles that underpins our constitutional democracy. Principles of accountability, principles of independence of the arms of government, and also brings into sharp focus the purpose of this constitutional democracy, which is to protect our lives, to protect our liberties, and to protect our inalienable right to pursue our own happiness. Understand? So everything that we do must be done within the context of these. But sadly, right now it's business as usual, MPP, NDC, and sadly, whether Adenta Kumi is right, whether he's wrong, we don't know.
And so for the merit of the real case in terms of the CJ is being watered down in a way because it's taken political dimensions.
Because in my view, there are very serious questions that we need to, that I think we ought to be discussing. You understand? Sadly, you have a situation which can easily be misinterpreted as an attack on an independent arm of government, whether you like it or not. Indeed, a demonstration has been held with that in mind, that, listen, there's an attack on an arm of government. Now, how do you go through this accountability process without failing in that question? You understand? So for me, and that's what I'm saying, that we need to deal with the opacity, the opaque nature of what is happening. So for instance, they are saying that it has to be held in camera. No problem. You understand? You can have a debate. But what prevents them from, let's say, when the prima facie case was, they decided to publish or inform us the reasoning that went behind that decision.
But you see, that's where the question also comes in. For those who say, let's stick to the law. When you read the law, it says, shall, okay? When it comes to the initial bit about an in-camera hearing, it uses shall. And you know what the law means when it says shall. So in waiving it, a request may be put forward, but the law is, and then the other bit about the prima facie, I was addressing the first issue. The other bit about the prima facie case, again, you see those lacunas in the law. There's nowhere that it says, when this determination is made, it ought to be put out. Because of the secrecy of the process, it becomes complicated.
But I don't even think there's a lacuna of the law. It depends on how you understand the law. I tend to go with Aristotle's view of what the law is: reason free from passion. Now we've taken upon ourselves a system, that is claiming that it wants to protect our right to life, our right to our liberties, and our right to pursue our own happiness. And if there's something history has taught us, that the only system that you can create that will guarantee you that is the rule of law. And we know that because it's a democracy, the Constitution is even saying that sovereign power resides with the people. Yeah. And everything they are doing with our powers.
For the people.
For the people. So that if you are taking an action that can undermine the confidence the people have in the system. For me, I think it is legal, it is an obligation that you tell us, you publish your opinion on, or we know how you came about the decision that, listen, a prima facie case has been made.
Established, right.
Otherwise, you tend to lose the perception battle. The perception battle being...
Just quickly, so you think if that had been done, maybe part of what we're now, the discussions about was there indeed? Because you notice that in the latest petition that the Chief Justice now wading into it personally, using Godfrey Dame's chambers, is also saying that even that whole prima facie case there was nothing in there. It's part of the release that
and also we have the benefit of authorities. The Tuni case, which dealt with, in their view, what constitutes a prima facie case and how it ought to be determined.
Rest on that point, because I'm sure we may then also have to wade into the Council of State and the role they play all of that.
But that's what I'm saying. There are so many questions, in my view, that ought to have generated some debate, even about whether there's even a need for reform in the 146. Even beyond the reform, even how they interpret their powers.
And even the threshold.
Exactly.
The threshold.
Very, very critical.
What amounts to... I mean, recently when people were talking about, the president, the vice, the speaker are all out of the country and all of that, let's impeach him. Even if the numbers were there, do you think that meets the threshold?
Exactly. And especially when you read the 146, and then when you read it together with 69 and with 97, all those with ways in which the various heads can be removed. All of them, it says they shall be removed. They shall be removed. When it came to the 146, it said the Superior Court of Justice shall not be removed unless for the Now it tells you, because it's not for nothing that for the Superior Court of Justice they said shall not be removed, because every word there is written for a purpose. It's not like so I agree with the threshold ought to be really high. That's what I'm saying. I was thinking that we'll take this opportunity to have real debates. But unfortunately, we are lost in the midst of this.
Let me come to
MPP,
and another thing I noticed from that shall not clause, which is interesting, the historical antecedents. You realize we were coming from PNDC, military rule into. So there were some measures being put in place to forestall a future Democrat reverting to maybe military tendencies. So all of that, it just struck me that all of that was in there to forestall that. But there's also this issue. I know you want to have a bite. Per the law, national security based on security interest can also conduct arrests, not necessarily with a warrant, sometimes. Sometimes the exigencies point to that. So let's also make that clear. It's not every time that a warrant will be used. There are instances where, justifiably, but then they would have to justify the use of that without a warrant. Any reflections?
Exactly. As my brother said, the optics are no good. And nowadays you hear that it's become the mantra. The optics are no good. The optics are no good. I tend to think that Adenta Kumi could have been invited. This Rambo-style invasion was totally unnecessary.
Needless, huh?
Needless. I suspect that maybe it was to, sometimes when you conduct this raid, it's not necessarily about picking the person per se, but finding some evidence to get to the bottom of something. And probably, I'm just theoretically, maybe to find out where he got the CCTV footage from. That is, if he's the one who released it. But there are many other ways to find this out. You can even find out from the restaurant itself how it came about. But I suppose that is not the main crux of the issue.
But it's also clear that someone from that restaurant would have had to give out that video evidence, right?
Exactly.
Which our security officers can also secure, interrogate, and also find out what the intent is.
And the video is already out there.
It is.
And it's watering everything down. My brother mentioned the Ajay case, the Frank Ajay versus Attorney General versus Bright Akwete. This is a case that we in the CPP have always been interested in because it was brought by a member of the current CPP leadership. Lawyer Bright Akwete is a member of the current CPP leadership. And he brought this, this case involved him, and it set out the parameters when it comes to, aspects of what we are facing now. And indeed, it waters everything down because some of the justices at the Supreme Court, we've all seen the video. I would say that I don't see anything suspicious about the video. even beyond that, the judiciary is such that we always bump into judges.
And pardon my doing this. We'll get into the merits of the video. Let me take Prof. Wedi. I'll come back to the video and its merits. Prof, in reacting to this, and I've noticed a bit of a trend. I may have forgotten some of them, but this style of getting people to, because you realize that Justin Kodia Frimpong was talking about intimidation, which we don't want in the system. Like we have all said here, the gentleman could have been invited. Let's not also forget that when these kinds of things happen, it's a household.
Yeah.
Women, children, and the sort of maybe shock effect and fear that sometimes is provoked. Now, we've been told that purportedly one woman was hit with the butt of a gun. We don't know. We don't have those details yet. But what picture does that paint for you? Because we had, if you recall, Kenoforiata and the incident, though I believe with a warrant. Then Dr. Ernest Addison, the former central bank governor, his incident. I've forgotten whether there's been another one. I think my mind is telling me there's another one somewhere, but I'll look. And at least we have this one as well. What picture does it paint for you, Prof?
I think our democracy is growing by and large, and it should reflect in terms of whatever we do. I can foresee that the CJ case will travel for a long time. It will not end today. By the time it comes to an end, a lot of issues would have been unraveled. It would be shocking to see some of them. And it's part of what we are seeing today. Today, the secretary of MPP, a few minutes ago, tells you he had told the party faithful to rush to the house just to find a way to rescue him. What would have happened if they had met those security operatives?
That is something else that I have concerns with sometimes.
You
see this whole bit about, I remember during the elections, Malik Basintali would put some codes out there and, oh, this and that, do this, do that. He came and explained himself here. But I think that action as well, from time to time, party, monkoho, it can often lead to, some circumstances we don't want. Because mind you, these security services are clothed with certain powers. And when faced with certain actions, they may retaliate. And not retaliate, they may act, and it may not be proportionate. That's the problem.
But it's the first I've been hearing from you. We keep learning every day that the security operatives could sometimes arrest someone without a warrant. If I'm wrong, that's wrong.
Well, even the police can arrest without.
Yeah,
I think section 10 of the criminal procedure code.
We keep learning every day. It's my first time even hearing that. But the frequency of such issues are the ones we are talking about here. How often can you use those powers? Are we trying to shy away from the word invitation? We have heard this about you. We want to see you. Can you come to our office within this time, around this period, in the evening or in the morning? If you fail on 2 counts or 3, then we'll be forced or be compelled to come after you.
Right.
Then your case is solid.
Right.
But when we get up in the morning because we have powers, we want to do this, now the substantive issue, we've thrown it to the back. We don't want to come to that issue. It's all about arrest this morning, and that's going to take something out of the case that we are going to pursue at the CJ level. So
let me bring in this comment by Emmanuel Boama because it leads to another end of the conversation. He says, Joy News, fundamentally, you are good at verifying information. Is it right to start condemning, and I'll address that word, the government or the security personnel by your guests in the studio just on the back of an account given by the MPP General Secretary? Ben is one of the objective journalists, and so I expected him to handle this better. Here's why. Think about it this way. And all of us can misstep at some point. If I did something and I had to have some interrogations or interact with the security officers, I would appreciate it if I were called, come to X police station or come to national security or come to wherever and let's have a chat, rather than come to my home and have any actions done. Do you understand? That is the context, rule of law, not necessarily anybody condemning them. No one here has condemned, because if you watched, I kept referring to allegation, because as we sit here, even Justin Kodua from Pong cannot say for a fact. He was told. He has told us. However, we are saying that if that be the case, then there's a certain trend, and there's another way of doing this, apart from just the forceful, we've come to your house. You could also invite the person. The person has not been invited and absconded. That is all we are saying. Anyway, now on the bit about the merits of the video.
Yeah.
I have seen the video. I don't want to espouse, I want to espouse my thoughts last. You have seen the video as well. Yes. The claim was that these people had met there to sort of plot, connive, so that when the committee sits on the CJ's matter, some actions will be taken. The information we have shared before you come in is that, first off, Justice Puamang was nowhere there, though the claim was made that he was there. He is not. Secondly, these justices had celebrated their birthdays about a week apart. So 2 weeks before, something like that, and a week after that. And they had just decided, oh, since our birthdays are close, let's go there and have something to eat. And they bump into this lawyer who coincidentally is also there for, in fact, if you look at the sitting arrangement, Obitini baby, and then these people also came into the fray. Now, among lawyers, you know, when you meet your seniors, especially someone on the bench, you'd probably want to, oh, hello. And that is what, per what I saw, happened there. But what did you see? And is there any merits to the conversation that has been had versus the video evidence so far? Because Justin says he is not necessarily subscribing to the video. My question then is there any other video? Your take.
It's a very, I'll say that there's a thin line in this case. There's a very thin line. If you look at the video and, you know, the general, sometimes until you become a legal practitioner, you will not understand clearly the workings of judges, lawyers, and clients. You may think just talking to somebody in a case or the lawyer means something untoward is happening. There's nothing like that. If I could bring, 10 years ago, we had Ghana in the Eyes of God, September 2015. Yeah. I was in that video where I was stating that I still have, I have confidence in the judiciary. Yeah. And sometimes the perceptions we have about the judiciary, it's not always the main judicial actors. It's not the judges or the lawyers. Sometimes you can have other people trying to influence the case. These judges are people of high repute. Both Justice Kulendi, Justice Asiedu, and even lawyer Sadio Sori himself. These are people who have practiced for many, many years. You know, and as legal practitioners, some of the judges are our former lecturers. Yeah. Some of them, we practiced with them as lawyers before they went to the bench. Yeah. These are not people who meet in a restaurant to discuss something as weighty as the removal of the chief Justice of Justice Tokono. But at the same time, she is also entitled to bring this case that she has brought. If you look at the same Ajechum case, Justice Ajinira's closing statements was that it is obvious that the drafters of the Constitution made an inadvertent omission. And she also goes ahead to say that this court has in the past gone beyond the literal text of the Constitution in recognizing and securing particular rights of the individual. You understand me? So the Constitution itself is not interpreted literally. Yeah. So if Her Ladyship Justice Tokono wants a public hearing, I don't see why that should not be. Because there have been many instances. This same Ajechum versus Akwete case shows that there have been many instances. So
it is good for the optics. Yes. But I've heard from the other side, they also say it's not compulsory. And the law states what it does. You see, that's where the problem, that's where the devil is. Yeah. But I think maybe for the optics,
Yeah,
we could have gone down
it's
that
good
road.
because now these innocent Supreme Court justices and Justice Judicial himself, people are having a certain perception about them that knowing them personally through my work as a legal practitioner, I don't think there's anything anywhere. But in order to disabuse the minds of Ghanaians and in order to afford her ladyship her rights, I think the public hearing should be conducted.
So on this matter, there's a tangential matter I want to bring in, and that has to do with the petition to the General Legal Counsel against Godfrey Yeboah-Dame. Have you seen
I heard
some scope of that? So basically, it has to do with, and I bring it in because this whole bit about interacting with justices sitting on a case, in this instance, well, this is what may be a coincidental meetup, but in this instance, as per this petition, it references the Kasielato Forsen case.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, the purported interactions with Richard Jakpa and Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, and then, of course, that justice. I believe it was Yoni Kulendi, if you remember that bit. So on the back of that, there is that petition for the General Legal Counsel to look into Godfrey Yeboah-Dame's practices legally, whether they were kosher, whether they were right. And don't you forget, Dame is now representing the CJ in that interlocutory injunction. Interesting times, eh? Interesting. This one, I'll just take brief thoughts and then we get into the papers.
Well, if I may have a bite of that cherry. They're interesting, you know, we should recognize that we're in the domain of plea bargaining. And I'm very happy that the current Attorney General, Honorable
Dominic
Aine, our former lecturer from the law faculty, is also taking...
They're putting it out, so in case there's a case somewhere, they see you, people will not say that,
Exactly. In fact, there's actually a video on TikTok of Semsai and myself happily shaking hands. But,
I think I saw. I didn't see the video, but I've seen the photo of it.
Because you see, when we were in Legon, you know, those days when you were, so he was, you were Supreme Court judge.
Yeah, Commonwealth, it's true.
So Legon had his own legal system.
Commonwealth was a judge.
Yeah, at that time, Semsai was in Legon Hall's Consultative Assembly, and then we were in law school. But I've had a very good relationship with him. Yeah. So because, let's say, we are lawyers on the other side, doesn't mean that when I see him, I should some of this. Or I see both you, and then right from Chota School through to law school, and I see because we are on opposite sides. Yeah. So we need to place some of these things in proper context. Yeah.
Regarding the GLC, it's whoever brought the petition. It's their rights. I mean, lawyers are summoned to GLC all the time.
Yeah.
And but I believe in the era of plea bargain, he's allowed to have those conversations with the accused. Maybe the setting may not have been
but the circumstances of it, if you've seen some of the interactions where it basically suggested, okay, and that is the claim that was made, help us nail this person. And then, yes, I understand that in context that could be done, but the how of it and the thinking, the rationale is where...
And exactly in the US,
law, even in criminality, in the US,
they tell you, let us know your...
The mens rea, I mean.
But I think the issue with the Jakpa issue was, Godfrey spoke with him without the consent of Jakpa's counsel, which is unethical.
Yes.
You can't speak with...
without his or her counsel.
Without consent. I think that's the ethical issue there. So I think, so I don't know, but trust me, Godfrey has been taken to a jail, not because of it, but the politics. You see, they are just playing politics.
And that...
No, they're just playing politics with... Yes, seriously. They're just playing politics. Because I've even heard people...
Yesterday, the question was posed to the petitioner that, okay, so why now?
Yeah.
Why now?
Yeah.
Well, he actually made the point that he had been following this for quite a while, in fact, from last year, but also the processes to secure some of the documentation, even from the courts and all of that. And so I found it all very interesting.
Let's say it as it is. It's politics. You understand? Godfrey is no longer Attorney General. He is still a lawyer. You understand? What stops him? I know the optics is away, but what stops him from representing or the CJ from choosing Godfrey?
Yeah.
You shouldn't see them. You see, sometimes we run away from the main issue and we waste a lot of time on, in my opinion, very trivial matter. Governor is still a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? The Chief Justice feels
and it's on the back of that he's been not because he was AG or anything. It's on the back of so is this ethical practice?
Exactly. No, but if indeed people haven't raised issues about why it should be Governor representing the CJ.
Yes, that has also come up.
So if I have a case,
and he has responded that
he's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. Who
has every right to represent.
If I have a case, I feel I want you to represent me. I mean, let's say, should he be? For me, I don't see the head and tail of. See, let's focus on the main issues.
Okay.
Don't waste time on the trivial ones.
Prof, any quick thoughts? When we start on the legal angles, we'll go and go.
So you learn from the best. They are lawyers, and I've been learning from them. But the point is that I don't know. We are torn in between triviality and ethical issues here. I have nothing more to say than to say that, look, this country, we have to be serious. We have to be serious. We focus and pay attention to issues that, for me, whether he represents CJ or a video has leaked and all that. What is the crux of the issue? Yeah. What's the issue are we talking about here? The remover? Let's start the process. Let's continue with it. Because for me, the issues are becoming too complex for me to consume.
I will just say this as my final shot on this matter. If you look at even the U.S., Supreme Court, they are what, 9?
Yeah.
And how they operate, even with Trump coming in and bringing in some conservatives. If you watch carefully, you would realize that even some of the decisions that Trump would have wanted, he did not get.
Yeah.
Yes, you can look at that odd Roe versus Wade, turnover and everything else. But they found a way of, first, limiting the numbers. Of course, you need an odd number, and making it work for them. They also have a federal system, so sometimes the federal courts can deal with. But I think we are where we are, and I say this very cautiously, because to a certain extent, I will not say small or large, we have politicized the judiciary and weaponized it. And now it's giving birth to the problem we've created.
Yes.
And I will say this, some administrations have done it more than others. And because it has been seen that some have pushed it to the extreme, others also feel, listen, if we don't bring it to a certain end, there will be no balance and we'll be lost in that wilderness. That is why we are here. So if we want to stop pretending, the truth is, let's stop politicizing the judiciary.
Ben, you shouldn't apologize for such statements, because this is Ben exercising his power as a member of the Fourth Estate. Yeah, you understand? No, Ben, so you don't need to apologize, because you've hit the nail right on the head. See, the basic difference in my view between, let's say, the Americans largely and us is, whereas they are largely driven by a national interest. You understand? And here, for me, it's not about whether you are right or wrong, but what fuels their passion is what's in the best interest of America. In our case, what fuels us is our parochial interest. And we are so callous that we don't mind weaponizing the Constitution. We don't mind weaponizing the institutions the Constitution has created to pursue our parochial agenda. You are spot on. Because John Mahama has come into power believing that Nana Addo weaponized the judiciary. He felt understand, and they feel that they must do something about it. And what you do is you kill the fidelity of the people or the belief of the people in the system. And once that is gone, then we do not have a system. So am I allowed to align myself with your statement? Except that I want to apologize. I want to apologize for this alignment. But I think you are spot on, and I'll call on the fourth estate as to be coming out more with some of these statements and analysis.
It's on point.
Yeah, because we can't allow our politicians to be messing up the entire system for all of us, especially when you consider what is at stake.
Yeah.
What is at stake is the rule of law. Exactly. And once that is undermined, we are finished.
Yeah. And even to add, one of the minority MPs has petitioned the ILO to look into the dismissal of people from the state institutions.
Yeah.
And he's asked for ILO's help to put a stop to the political change of. But the thing is that anytime a new party comes into power, it happens. So what the minority MP has done, it's in the right direction. We politicize everything. We come into power, we change everybody. So the politicians themselves are now desperate to change what they themselves have created.
Yeah.
Right. But for me, I think after today, I'll stop talking about this CGA matters and all that, because I don't know how long this issue surrounding the Achua case will be stopped. But we keep talking about a lot of issues surrounding the case. When can we go into the substance?
And you see, once we spend time, Prof, like you're saying, once we spend time, look, we have Galamsey still to deal with.
We have a lot of issues.
We have at least, even this streetism we've spoken about this morning, still to deal with. We have poverty,
COVID levy,
developmental issues, NDPC, and discoordinated. The president was speaking about it recently. Let's have it such that it's not about which party, it's about how we have so many problems. But sometimes objectivity on these ones are lost, and we end up wasting precious time
and
talking about
resources.
But you see, when it's not broken, we don't fix. Why would she want to be removed?
Why would
the woman CJ should be removed?
Why should she be removed?
I mean, we were having.
As for that one, where you are
totally different.
the territory you are getting into. The lawyers and yours truly will respectfully recuse ourselves.
No, it's a question. You may not have the answer. When it's not broken, we don't
fix it.
Don't fix it.
Anyway, let's quickly get into the papers, and definitely, I also want us to talk about this matter, the Veep being back. I remember back then, So Daily Graphic, it leads with that story. Veep is back. There's also oil money to push, big push. Petroleum revenue law amended to channel 70% proceeds to infrastructure. Experts applaud move. Ghanaian nurse eyes $250,000 global award. You know her, and we hope she makes us proud. Interior Ministry beefs up security in conflict-prone areas. On the back page, Minister inaugurates 532 kilowatt solar plant at Nexans Cable Metal. And DTI inaugurates Innovation and Precision Center at ATU. The DTI has been doing quite a bit. I know their place in East Legon. I used to spend some time in that area, and quite a number of things they are doing. So I'll blaze through very quickly so that we can get to your papers and move. The Minister of Energy and Green Transition, John Ejinapo, has revealed plans to increase the use of clean energy solutions, including solar power, to achieve a more sustainable energy future. At the inauguration of a solar plant project by Nexans Cable Metal Ghana Limited in Tema, Mr. Ejinapo said, in line with the President's vision towards attaining a 24-hour economy, the ministry had begun rolling out solar streetlight installations across Ghana, particularly in the capital, to reduce peak demand and promote energy efficiency. That's the story. On oil money to push, big push. The recent amendment of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011, that is Act 815, to ensure that the entire annual budget funding amount, that is APFA, is dedicated solely to infrastructural development, has received the endorsement of stakeholders in the petroleum sector. Let me just end it there, because they approve of it. They say that will be a good way of pushing the big push. Then page 20, the Mami Odende story. So the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Ofoko-Agyeman, has returned to the country after seeking medical attention from the United Kingdom. I think we know the details now, who was there, who met her, and all of that. Let me see whether there will be anything else to add. South Africa budget can't cover for deep cuts in foreign aid. And I'm sure you followed Ramaphosa versus Trump as well. I'll end with this. You may not have heard of it, and if you have, you know what it is. Fistula, a call to action for eradication. It's another major health concern for our young girls and women. Any quick thoughts? Kwame Nkrumah, these must be very brief so that we can get
I'll go straight to the solar energy story. I think it's a good thing to have it an Nexans cable metal because we underestimate the impact of energy on our society, and green energy is the way to go. I remember somewhere in 2004, there was a Supreme Court judgment regarding VALCO workers, where a few years prior, because of electricity cuts, they had to lay off a large number of workers, and it caused a lot of problems. So the absence of energy, it has a ripple effect. It can even have people laid off. So when we have sustainable green energy like solar energy, it helps all of us. And I think it's a good call, and they should keep it up. And finally, also, I'm happy to see the VIP back, and I saw a very touching picture. At least we can say with that one, the optics are good about she and the First Lady in that warm embrace. We're happy to have her back. And I know that now there will be a lot of pressure of the president, and things will start moving, and we can concentrate on a lot of other things.
Yeah, so the VIP, I'm glad she's back, except that I would have wished that she came back from Kodebu Teaching Hospital.
And not some foreign traveler.
Not some, and I think for me, it heightens the burden on government to deal with our health infrastructure in this country. As I can't countenance why, after almost 60 years of self-rule, that the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
So I can speak for myself. I don't know for the rest of you. I think it may be the same story. But if any of us were to have some of those, critical health issues, I think our best stop would be UGMC or Kolebu. I don't know whether I'd be able to be flown out. Would you?
No, I don't think.
Would you? No. Would you, Prof? Maybe Prof might. You might be in a schooling. So the reality of the situation is, how do you make it so that, because sitting here, I'm sure people will think, oh, at least middle class, but we crash,
also, it undermines our health, as the confidence we will have in the health, because the VIP is telling us that, or people in authority, they're telling, listen, that I was sick, I needed top-notch medical care. I have to find it outside.
Yeah.
So if the people who are supposed to manage our affairs don't trust in the ability of the health system here to sort them out, then what are they telling us?
But we do know it started from UGMC.
No, but
and then eventually it had to be taken out.
If UGMC were successful, or if she believed that they could sort it out. Let's say things as they are.
Before we go.
The point is that
you prof. The point is that
the point is that they are there to take care of us. They are there to use the power for us.
For our benefit.
You understand?
Yeah.
So if they don't trust in the health system, then they must use the power we've given them to bring the health system to a level where, when we are going to how you mentioned, that's bougie. If I'm going to my polyclinic, I have all confidence that I'll get the best of Medicare there.
Right. Prof, it has to be brief so that
I think we're happy she's back. And I like the headlines you gave, the heading. Mommy, what?
Dindi.
Oh, I characterize it as the mommy.
I hope they didn't allow her to run on the tarmac.
This is the same.
When I saw the video,
I was.
I've seen something before the elections in Nigeria. Tinubu, doing something, I think, on a treadmill, and I was like, hey, and then there was that,
Because when I saw the background pictures, and I was just praying to God that they won't allow her to run on the tarmac. Right. To our former president. But that's good.
Bro.
It's a good news. She's back. We are happy she's back. But on the issue on the energy, these are stories we want to hear.
Right.
The last time the minister...
Nexans cable metal,
yes,
green energy,
the former
minister,
the minister of energy was complaining about the fact that we're going to be shut down, I think, for 2 days or so.
We have 2 more.
How many days now?
They sorted it.
They've sorted it. So sometimes do not give us gloomy pictures like that. It doesn't help. Because investors are all over the place. Productions are also ongoing. So when you have story, tell us the good story. Like today, you see how economic activities will pick up. When we have solution to our energy crisis, clean energy, street lights, the idea is to prepare the ground for 24-hour economic policy, to roll out. You cannot run an economy, 24-hour economy, with 12 hours power. It can't work. So if you're putting things in place to usher the woman in the room, the 24-hour, the game changer, then we are happy to have some of these stories because it's about economic activities.
All right.
Yeah.
Andy, can you quickly blaze through this paper? Just give us headlines. I'll take headlines from, unless there's maximum one story you want to talk about. Same for you, Prof. Andy.
So VCTF pushes for domestic funding to drive SME.
That's the Business and Financial Times.
Thanks, yeah. Leverage declining inflation to fast-track targeted interventions. GSE set for first IPO since 2018. I think I want to read briefly the VCTF pushes for domestic funding. So the Venture Capital Trust Fund is ramping up efforts to secure more domestic capital as it seeks to expand its impact on small and medium-scale enterprises, citing a proven investment model and strong portfolio performance. At a media engagement marking its 20th anniversary, VCTF executives highlighted the fund's achievements, investments in 77 companies, 14 profitable exits, and over 28,000 jobs created as evidence that venture capital can work in Ghana's economic landscape if properly structured and funded.
Okay. Well, I guess it's straight to the point.
Yeah.
Prof?
Yeah,
Headlines and then maybe one story, Max.
Leadership crisis rocks Christian Divine Church. Then they're on the page 6 of the Ghanaian publisher, Gold Board extends compliance deadline. And then on the page 3, minority charge on government over delay statutory payments. And then we have one story here on the page 2. Alfred Mohammed refutes claims, denies engaging in Galamsey activity. The last one is on page 3. CJ removal probe must be public. Godfrey Dodame. To pick up two stories here. One will be the Gold Board extends compliance deadline. Yes, sometimes we are allowed to do that, but a frequent deadline extension creates a culture of non-compliance. If we keep extending deadlines over a period without giving tangible reasons why you don't, people will take opportunity and then they will not comply with your policies and your laws. Minority charge on government over delays. In fact, I'm interested in knowing the statutory payments that have not been made. In fact, from next week, the group, the IRPP, will conduct a full search into how many payments have been made over a period of time. Those have not been paid. If you delay payments, what happens is that you stifle economic growth.
Right.
You exacerbate poverty over a period of time. And then you breach the public trust. So if some payments have not been made, we want to encourage this administration to make those payments.
Okay.
And then we'll see. Yeah.
Gentlemen, it's been an exciting session with you. I always love it when I have you together, the lawyer and the academic, so that we can fuse the issues together. Some story that I was not able to do, but I think it's worth putting out there. You can also find the story on myjoyonline.com. Azuma Nelson to be honored as WBC celebrates the Year of Africa in Accra. And of course, possibly, in fact, in many contexts, viewed as the greatest boxing export from Africa. Zoom Nelson, the professor himself. And I'd like to add my voice to celebrate him as well. Let's do some birthdays. Happy birthday to the acting CEO of the Environmental Protection Authority, Professor Nanama Brown Kluche. It goes on and on about your leadership since assuming office has been nothing short of inspiring. We, the staff of the EPA, are proud and grateful to have you as our leader. On this special day, we pray for continued strength, wisdom, and grace. Warmest wishes. I had to truncate the message. From Moses Akati and the entire EPA staff. Carlos Caloni, thank you for shooting that to me. This one is from Brother Collins, Church of Pentecost, Nazareth Assembly, Sunyani. Church of Pentecost, Nazareth Assembly, Sunyani. He says, happy birthday to Liwabi Makanga, popularly known as Amagifti, staff of Papaye Cold Store, Sunyani Masum Market. May you grow from grace to greater grace. And so Liwabi Makanga, a.k.a. Amagifti, happy birthday to you from Brother Collins. And then a blessed 70th birthday to Mrs. Stella Na Lamioko Tete of the Grace Methodist Church in Latebiokoshi. We celebrate you for your humble and God-fearing nature. May God continue to keep you strong and faithful in the kingdom's work. From your husband, Festus, and your children, Thelma, Sandra, and Sidel, as well as the entire family. So, Mrs. Stella Na Lamioko Tete, happy birthday to you. And to Nelly Ajima Jemfi, obey steady, or maybe I obey steady. I see a message she just sent me.
But before you sign up, yesterday was my wife's birthday. So
Yes.
So I just want to thank her for 7.5 years of bliss.
You have to start paying tax for these services. If it's not Meridian number 1, it's Meridian number 2 and your wife.
No, but my wife is number 1. So
number 1,
I can't, yes. Yesterday
please, we celebrate her. What's her name?
Afrakuma.
Yes. Afrakuma, we celebrate you. Belated happy birthday. Were you going to say something? We have to go. All right. Thank you so much. So those who joined the conversation, Professor Isaac Bwedi, Dean of Accounting and Finance at the UPSA, we had Andrew Zapia Dankwa. A.K.A. Abigi. And I'm just say Apeke. Abigi. Okay. He is a spokesperson for the Movement for Change. And then we had Honorable Kobash. Kwame Nkrumah, General Secretary for the CPP. Let me just let you know the AM show is sponsored by Waylead Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. Now, get ready for the 7th Ghana Football Awards. Join us on June the 14th at the Palms Convention Center for a night of excitement, glamour, and celebration of Ghana's finest football stars. Let's unite the nation once again through football. Ghana Football Awards is a Football Impact Africa initiative powered by Activate 360 and proudly supported by the Multimedia Group and AE Mediacom Ghana Football Awards, celebrating the stars of our passion. You can call 0302 211 691 for more information. Later, don't you forget, today is a Friday, we'll serve you E-Corner, and I will also serve you my blunt thoughts. I'm just giving you the title for later, right? The CD Conundrum, the Electricity Enigma, and the Cocoa Shocker, analyzing the core issues. The CD Conundrum, I'll give you details if you've not seen. The Electricity Enigma and the Cocoa Shocker. It will shock you what I'm going to tell you about cocoa, because between this year, the start of the year, and last year, so many interesting things have happened. You want to stay. We'll be back with more action.